Hi.
What's going on, everybody?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Today we wanted to talk about fitting in and how it's sometimes hard to do. One of the things you'll notice anytime a early retirement article goes into mainstream media is that all of the comments are exceedingly negative and skeptical, saying things like, I don't want to live in a tent and eat out of a dumpster, or the lifestyle and the math don't add up, all kinds of stuff like that. This knee-jerk reaction of accusing people of living in tents and eating out of dumpsters is a defense mechanism called splitting. And basically they polarize their opinion and conclude that if you're saving 50% of your income, you must be living in poverty. And since they don't want to live in poverty, they don't have to take a closer look at their finances.
Many people will even go so far as to say that living on $25,000 to $30,000 a year is impossible. But of course the irony is that that's really far from impossible.
Yeah, in 2012, over 30% of the population lived on less than $30,000 a year. So if people without a choice can live on much less, what's stopping people who make much more? As you probably guessed, the answer is fitting in. It's pretty hard to swallow your pride and live on less than what you actually make and keep up appearances at the same time.
What further complicates things is that people are actually spending much more than they make. So in order to fit in with someone who makes $60,000 a year, you're actually gonna have to spend more like 70.
Like we talked about in our What It Takes to Retire Early video, the simple solution is to just stop caring what other people think about you. But that's not always easy. Lauren and I are lucky enough to have a group of friends and family that are really supportive of our goals. Maybe it's because it's kind of always been our lifestyle, like even since we were teenagers, we've sort of lived like this. There wasn't a point where we flipped the switch and suddenly became frugal, so I think it's easier for people to accept our financial decisions.
Now if that's not the case for you, then there's still good news.
Yeah, if you're just getting your finances on track or all of this early retirement stuff is new to you, the good news is that it's not about being cheap all the time. And in fact, being frugal is more about getting more value out of every dollar than anything else. Early retirement and frugality is more of a systems thinking approach to life and money. How can I arrange different parts of my life to work with one another rather than against one another?
For example, let's take a look at the relationship between where you live, where you work, and how you get to work. Now the early retiree wannabe is going to live in a small house closer to where they work, and therefore they're going to drive less.
And just like that, just by taking a closer look at that one decision, where you live, you can significantly cut a lot of different areas of your budget. Alternatively, most people just care about what kind of car they drive or how big their house is, or even just take the highest paying job they can find without considering their commute.
The result is that the early retiree doesn't look any different from the outside than just your average middle class consumer, but they're really getting more value out of each dollar that they spend.
The second bit of good news is that, to be honest, no one's gonna really notice subtle changes in your financial habits. If you take things to the extreme level, people might talk, but if you drive a 3-year-old car instead of a brand new one, no one's gonna notice. And if you live closer to work in a smaller apartment, no one's gonna care.
It's probably no surprise, but our biggest problem with fitting in is eating out. And actually, as we were filming this, a friend called and invited us out to lunch.
So I guess our solution to that is just learning to say no and limiting and planning our times out rather than just kind of going on every spontaneous call. We're also doing some meal prep this year. We've started planning all of our meals for the next week, so we'll let you know how that goes. I think that's all we wanted to say today was that, ignore the haters who think only in black and white. Try and get the most value out of every dollar that you spend, and that most people will probably not notice you're making changes in your financial habits. It's also the end of the month, so it is time for our net worth, income, and expense report that we send out to all of our newsletter subscribers. So if you're not on that list, be sure to sign up in the description below, or you can go to mikeandlauren.com and it's on the right-hand column there. We also share our YouTube earnings on that report, and they actually went up significantly this month because of all the holiday advertisers. So if you're interested in that, it'll be at the bottom of the report. I think that's it. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.